Okay, so this is the final draft of my story, The Edge. My father had always been rigorous about seeing the world and has always encouraged us to cut our teeth on as many new opportunities as possible. He saves every penny he can to take my siblings and me to as many exotic and exciting places as possible. The spring break of my senior year, he took me as far away from Ohio that his bank account would allow. Cozumel, Mexico was our destination, and diving into the Paradise Coral Reef was our adventure. After brief but intense underwater training, I clumsily slipped into my wetsuit and squeezed my flippers on. After that, I connected all the worn, sun-faded oxygen tubes to the dented metallic tank. Sitting on the edge of the boat with my back to the personally unexplored water, I felt cold and unsure. My innate theory of mind became uncomfortably active, and I felt severely self-conscious. What if I mess up and everyone has to surface because of me? And look how stupid I look. I feel so fat. I swallowed all my pride, took a breath, and shattered the liquid glass between the concrete surface and the marine underworld. Floating and bubbling like a buoy in the storm, I fumbled to gain balance in the water. While I struggled to remain stable, our underwater decline commenced. Down we went. As we submerged deeper into the water, the most intense blue pierced through my mask. I told myself to remain calm as we went deeper and deeper and deeper. I was concentrating on equalizing the pressure in my nose and ears so immensely that I almost forgot to look around me, but when I finally stopped to take a look around, I was shocked. It was almost like being in a giant fish tank that you see at your doctor's office before you get your teeth cleaned. The utmost clarity surrounded every side of me, and I could see sand dunes like in the Sahara Desert, but covered in water. Looking 60 feet up, I could see exactly where the water broke the surface, sparkling and broken. My dive group began pushing effortlessly through the viscous blue velvet, and the dark mountain range began emerging. As we drew closer, huge schools of massive fish floated lazily around our heads. Pushing further to the reef, the world seemed to come more alive. Out of nowhere, the sand would start shifting, and giant stingrays would slide their curious eyes open, trying to discover who was in their front yard. There were starfish wriggling every limb to try and find the closest rock to slip underneath for protection. The group easily became distracted from our original destination, and our tour guide motioned for us to stay on target. With every push from our flipper, the reef became more clear and vibrant, starting with navy blue, then violet, shades of green, and finally every color on the spectrum that the natural world created. Our tour guide stopped us right as we approached the underwater playground and told us to check our air tanks and then sent us off. Almost like a moth to the flame, every one of us was drawn into the electricity of the reef's magnificent colors. I floated over the range of coral and scoured every inch of the surface as I could without touching it. Eels wickedly slithered their heads in and out of the rocks to show off their sharp teeth. Rainbow-slathered angelfish danced with the salmon-colored anemones. The sand stirred on the rocks as the candy cane-striped shrimp fidgeted to pick the algae off for their late afternoon snack. Grayfish bigger than a minivan, with seemingly collagen-injected lips, shined like lightning as they darted past our heads and into the rocks. I have never, even to this present day, seen something so busy yet so peaceful. Tie-dye plants poking out of the coral's craters played in the water, and in a flash drew themselves back in. Every creature from the big fish to the invertebrates had a purpose, and they appeared to do it as innately and effortlessly as our heartbeat. I looked up to make sure I did not lose my group, and I saw everyone together in a curious huddle. A huge whale shark tangled around their heads not 10 feet away. If our oxygen regulators were not in our mouth, every one of our jaws would have dropped. Not out of fear, but out of amazement. It was almost as if everything someone once knew about marine life was wrong, and the idea that we're the most dangerous animals on the planet was true. The shark began swirling off, and we followed with caution. The drop-off was near, and I could feel the icy cold brushing against my naked arms. Slowly I slid through the water towards the edge of the reef to the sharp edge. It was stunning how the ocean can go from a perfectly operated, bustling underwater utopia to absolutely nothing but a cold, dark abyss. Every shade of blue, from shins to the deepest hue of violet to the complete absence of light, emerged from the surface to the bottom. The drop-off showed nothing but offered everything. It was cold and uninviting. Only the few who are brave enough to explore it will trespass and discover its secrets. It was almost like a warning, stay back, this is ours, we do not need humans to operate this world. In that moment, I felt like I was submerged in a world of gods and monsters, but my group of divers were the monsters and the sea creatures were our superior. The curious sympathy that I felt was overwhelming. Our tour guide warned us before we reached the edge to not get too close, because from numerous personal experiences, many tourists have lurked over and never come back. As I stood in awe hovering, little blue angelfish the size of my palm shimmied over and down until all I could see was the yellow dot on their fin dissolving into the water like a setting sun. As I began to believe that they weren't coming back, they would slide up through the water and back into their little reef kingdom. I took one final look at the drop-off and went back with my group. As I swam closer to the reef, the water became warmer. As I swam closer to the reef, the water became warmer and the colors came alive again. Fish danced around my head like a golden halo, and I didn't feel as afraid anymore. The ocean became inviting once again with open arms. Right before my group surfaced, huge sea turtles slugged through the water. Their shells were rugged and brown, painted with green algae. Rugged brown. Let's get rid of the and. Their shells were rugged brown and painted with green algae. Their eyes were hollow and glazed and gave the appearance of stoners roaming carelessly around campus. I took a final look at my surroundings and soaked in every living thing that I could observe and absorb. Without warning, my head, neck, and torso broke the water's surface. I took my regular out of my mouth and had nothing to say. No one had anything to say. The true definition of speechless became a reality. My dive in Cozumel was as expanding as it was electrifying. I am not sure if I will ever regain the opportunity to experience something so breathtaking like that again. Not from time constraint, but from the destruction of our reefs. I am not a political activist by any means. In fact, I hate politics and hate when people my age discuss them, as if it's not just a washed-up version of what their dad said the prior night at the dinner table. But I do believe that the ocean should gain more respect and care from our dry world. From the concrete jungles to the wave-crashing shore, coral reefs have become my favorite hiding place. The disconnection I felt was the most peaceful thing I have ever felt in my life. It was almost as if the fish playing at my fingertips were muses, showing me how little I need in my life to be happy. Every time I'm stressed or writing a 4-page essay, I think of that serene calmness and the ice that rushed through my veins as I peered over the edge of the reef. I read a lot of poetry, and Whitman's Icing the Body Electric has always been a personal favorite, but it was not until the moment that I played in the reef's waters that I fully understand what it meant. It, to me, is the feeling of acknowledging the beauty of the body's perfect interconnectedness. Like the Paradise Reef, every piece plays a role and nothing can function without the other. With that being said, every piece, from my human liver to the crustacean picking apart the dead fish lodged in the rock, deserves respect. I hope the understanding that I gain becomes a global idea so I can go back with my children and allow them to feel the same electricity that I felt however many years prior.